This is the Highland Park 36-inch drop saw. Basically, it's designed to be able to pare down these big pieces to, make them more usable in smaller saws, but also could be used to doing large ink cuts on wood or other such specimen materials. We've selected a piece of Oregon opal butte opal. We're going to take a little wing cut off the end and see where our opal's at. Basically what we've done is we've created a real simple saw to keep the cost low, but allow the ability to do whatever you want to do without having to mess around too much. The red carriage there is holding the rock. That actually can scoot back and forth on the rails. You generally have to use a pry bar to move it when you have a big rock on it, but it allows you to position your rock, and then we just suggest using some straps to hold it down with. Get your blade positioned above the rock and make sure that the blade is able to turn freely before starting your saw. Now the controls on the machine are fairly simple as well. Basically we got a big 3-horse motor. We're using a timing style pulley system for the drive, which means that whether you're using water or oil, if you get any oil up in there, it's not going to slip. There's an adjustment on the motor mount for belt tension. It's got a full enclosed belt guard, and then on the blade guard we've got an injection system basically for allowing you to plumb up to water, or for those who want to, they can add a little pump and be able to put the oil in there as well. Additionally, on the pan in the corners we've put holders so you can put in basically like a shower curtain around it. If you're running water, it doesn't really matter. If you're running oil, then you want to contain your oil and retain it. The controls on the back side, we're using what's called an aerial oil system. What we've got is 2 reservoirs that hold your oil, and those go down to the hydraulic cylinder, which controls your lifting and dropping action. And then we've got a metering valve that controls the speed of both ascent and descent. What we've done is we put our airline on here, we've raised our ram up, and then with the ball valve we can shut it off. And before starting it, we're going to make sure that our needle valve is closed, and then we can bleed off our air pressure on the above cylinder. On the dummy side here, we've just made it a kind of a muffler. When you raise the ram really fast, you can get some bubbling in the reservoir, so we've created this muffler that helps keep any oil mist from coming out of the reservoir. So I'm going to bleed off the air off of the primary, and I bleed it off slowly so I don't get a big rush and bubble any fluid out. But once the pressure is relieved, now my ram is ready to start moving. So I'm going to spin my blade up, turn my water on. Waiting for my water to start before I start my cut. There's my water. And I'm going to open that needle valve just a little bit so I come down and I can start making contact with the stone. You want to start it very slowly so your contact is not creating an abrupt motion that yanks the blade or yanks the rock, damages anything. Once you get the feed working pretty well, then it can run steadily. You can see we're starting to make contact now. We'll let that blade get in there and settle a bit before we increase our feed rate a little bit, but it's not bad right now. We're making pretty good progress on the rock. We're using our Greenline blade here, which is a very affordable blade for this machine. The machine comes with one, but we also offer them for $400 a piece, which you can't beat for a 36-inch blade.
Okay.
All right, we finished our cut. Now we're going to raise our ram back up. So to raise the ram back up, we're going to hook our air source here on the top. I like to have the valve close when I do that, so I don't get any motion until I'm ready. I have my needle valve closed, and I'm now going to open this and pressurize the chamber, and then slowly I can turn the needle valve and my ram's going to raise. Typically it's about 110, 120 psi to move the ram. Usually when they're brand new, they're a little bit tighter. This one here, we're running maybe 100 psi right now. And I like to bring the ram up kind of slow because it's pushing all the fluid back into this chamber. So when it's doing that, I don't want it to come up too fast and bubble. Sometimes if there's a little tiny bit of air in there, it'll bubble up, and again, you get some out your exhaust. But then when I'm done, I'm back in position. I shut my valve again, so when I take my air off, I don't get the big outrush of air, just a little tiny pop, and my ram's back up. In general, if you are storing the saw or you got the saw sitting, we don't recommend that you leave the ram up because it is potential energy if a kid gets around it and plays with it, which should never happen anyway. With the rams up, they could actually lower the ram onto themselves and hurt themselves. When this machine is running, animals, children, or sometimes inexperienced adults, you keep them away from it and you wear your safety glasses. There you go. That's the Highland Park 36-inch drop saw.